Because when you are being the person that you respect, you allow yourself to have more because you feel worthy of it, right? But the thing is you subconsciously don't really respect yourself when you respond on a Sunday. When you tell yourself, you know what, I'm a good person, so I'm going to respond, right?
You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in.
The thing about labels and the thing about telling yourself that I can't do that because of this, or this is harder for me because of that, right? It gives us excuses. It gives us excuses as to why we can't get the thing done, why we can't be the person that we want to be. And a really big thing when it comes to growing your business and making more money is your ability to see the long-term satisfaction and prioritize long-term satisfaction over short-term growth, over short-term satisfaction. Because a lot of people that have ADHD are entrepreneurs, and it's so interesting because we crave that excitement, the not knowing what's going to happen, right? The uncertainty. But a lot of us also need some kind of structure, some kind of routine, but we don't want someone to tell us what to do. We don't want there to be a lot of rigidness in our routines, or we rebel, right? That is at least how it is for me. And something that I really clocked when I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2021 was the fact that I was very prone to leaning into short-term satisfaction and getting those dopamine hits, and it would manifest through not getting things done in my business and not hitting the goals that I had for myself. So something that's not related to business is I have always struggled with body dysmorphia, with overeating, binge eating, and then it turned into emotional eating. So when my house burned down in 2020, it was my childhood home. My parents lived there with my sisters. She was home for the summer, and it was a big fucking deal, obviously. It was my childhood home. Our 15-year-old cat passed away, and that was like the beginning of my emotional eating. Now, I had done it before, but not to the degree that I did it after this happened. And also COVID, we spent a lot on takeout and Uber Eats and skip the dishes and all that shit because we were home and there was nothing else to do but sit around and watch TV. I was working on my business. Hey, I had my first six-figure year during COVID, like during that 2020, that crazy year, right? So I had a lot of time to work on the business, but in terms of like satisfaction, in terms of dopamine, in terms of feeling like good, there weren't a lot of things to do. So a lot of those were sitting around, watching TV, watching movies. I think I binged like the whole Vampire Diaries series, and I think I stopped at like season 8, like the last season. Like I didn't even finish it, but there wasn't anything else to do except watch TV and eat, and that's what we did. So I did not realize though that I was covering up my emotions by binge eating, by overeating. And what I started to see as a pattern that not only showed up in my fitness journey, but also in my business was that dopamine hit that I was seeking, right? Because it's boring to follow a diet. It's boring to not snack at 12 a.m., right? It's boring to sit down and watch a movie and not have something to snack on or drink, right? Like, and when I say have a drink, I don't mean alcohol, because like for me, it's more so like I like smoking weed way more than I do drinking. I actually hate drinking and I always have. But anyways, again, you all have your own flavor. You all have your own thing that you do that is that self-sabotaging action. And the same thing started to show up in my fucking business, right? Like whenever things would start to get good, I would sabotage it. And the same thing happened with my fitness. Whenever I started to feel like, okay, I really have a handle on things, I can see that I'm losing weight, blah, 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 I would sabotage it. And ultimately, this comes down to that feeling of being unworthy of the result that you want, of being unworthy of being that person that you're actually trying to work towards. But the person that you're working towards has different habits, has different thoughts about themselves, right? So if you're not changing those things, you're not going to become the person that you're trying to be. And ultimately, what also does this come down to? This comes down to your emotional management. This comes down to, are you looking at your emotions? And are you asking yourself, okay, when I have this experience happen, or when I have this thought, I feel sad, I feel anxious, I feel depressed, then what behavior do I participate in? And is that really working towards the highest version of myself? So this pattern was showing up for me not only in my journey with overeating and binge eating, etc., but it was also showing up with my money. It was showing up in business. It was showing up in my relationships too. I have the best husband. We have been together for 18 years, so we know each other inside and out. He's my best friend in the whole world. And there was a long time where I would sabotage when things were going well, or if things just felt a little boring, I would be like, let's pick a fight. Like, let's nitpick something, right? And it was like this like internal impulse. And what I realized very early on in our relationship, around the time that we actually were living together and splitting chores and doing all the things we needed to do to cohabitate together, I started realizing like, oh, it's because like I feel bored, right? I feel bored. It's the dopamine hit. And at that point, I didn't realize I had ADHD. So it was a whole thing of me really figuring out that there was a recurring pattern of me trying to sabotage things that were good for short-term satisfaction. And when you're not doing the things that you know you need to do inside of your business, like recording the podcast episode or doing the script for a Instagram live, or even going live or making the pitch or doing your content in advance because you know you need the content in advance to feel good during the week, but then you don't do it, right? You are seeking the short-term satisfaction from that, and you would rather have that short-term satisfaction than the long-term satisfaction. And this is something that I clock in my clients all the time, is they are giving in to the impulse that they have to feel better now, instead of feeling accomplished later, instead of feeling good about themselves later, instead of feeling like the powerful fucking person that they are later, right? Because of this need for the dopamine, of this need to be coddled, of this need to feel supported and like good enough in the moment. So they lean on something that is going to help them feel better. But you will be such a fucking powerful person when you realize that there is more power in the long-term satisfaction game. You will be so powerful when you tell yourself, like, I know that this doesn't feel good right now, but I know that the impact of this is going to create this result and this result and this result. A whole other tangent that I could probably go on too is, if you do not have the hope that things are going to work out, that they're going to be worth it, that is maybe also why you're not doing the thing right now. And this is very common in the online space, where people come into it and they have this imaginary timeline, and they don't say it verbally, but their actions tell me, and the things that they're doing tell me that they have the belief, I don't think this is going to work out, or I don't think that this is going to be worth it. So they don't do the thing now that's going to create the result later. This can also happen if you are somebody who has had success, who has signed clients, you know what the fuck you're doing, but then perhaps you had an experience with a client that didn't go that great and it really emotionally triggered you, or you had an experience where you had an income dip, or something occurred where your hope was shaken, where your faith in yourself and in your business being successful was shaken, right? And then you start developing the belief of, well, it's worked, but then it went downhill. Well, this has created a result for me, but then this happened and it all went to shit, right? So whatever your flavor is, whatever your experience is, right? It comes from the belief of, I don't think that this is going to work out. So this is another thing that happens with people when they are not doing the things that they need to be doing, right? It's this resistance that is being created by the feeling of I'm not worthy of it, or I don't think it's going to happen. And truly, I do think like the timeline thing and not knowing if it's going to work out, I think it ultimately comes back to your self-concept. It comes back to your identity of yourself and you telling yourself, like, I don't think that I'm the kind of person who can create that. I don't think I'm the kind of person who can do that. I don't think I'm the kind of person who can charge that. That's what it all comes down to. And that's what it came down to for me when it came to fitness, when it came to having the body that like I'm still working on, right? Like in terms of being the person that is healthy or that looks the way that she wants to look, right? It came down to my own worthiness around that. It always comes back to the worthiness piece. It always comes back to, do I believe that I can be that kind of person? And this is for me, right? Like this is for me and how I feel and the thoughts that I have. And the same thing goes for you. You may be building your business for your kids or your family or what the fuck ever, but ultimately it comes down to you, and it comes down to how you're being and who you're being and the moves you are making from that place.
Hey babe, I'm just interrupting this episode to let you know that I have a new offer to work with me one-to-one, and that is the Iconic Intensive. So included in this intensive is a 90-minute strategy and subconscious session. As well, you also get a week with me in Telegram after the session and a personalized hypnosis. One of my clients who came through this session, first of all, she was obsessed with the hypnosis, but after the subconscious and strategy session, she was like, I feel so light, content is pouring out of me. And we actually were able to uncover a belief from childhood that was causing her to play small, be really quiet about her thoughts and beliefs. And now her content is fucking bomb. Not only that, but a couple weeks later, she had signed 2 high-ticket clients because of the work that we did inside of the Iconic Intensive. She definitely thinks that it was the subconscious work, the strategy that we did as well. And I'm just so obsessed with these intensives, and it is a great way to work with me for the short term, but get that personalized support. So you can head to the link in my show notes and you can check that out. It is $777. And if you would like a payment plan, just send me a DM at your Coach Jill. Let's get back into the episode.
So I want you to notice the little moments where you are self-sabotaging and ask yourself, where is this coming from? I can feel myself wanting to go to the kitchen and grab a chocolate chip cookie or 10, right? Like I can feel myself avoiding that task that I said I was going to do today in the business. I can feel myself wanting to offer this potential client in my DMs a discount, even though I told myself I was going to stop doing that. I feel myself wanting to respond to a client message in Telegram, even though I said I would only drop into the group 2 times a week. Noticing the self-sabotage. And you may hear some of those examples and think to yourself, how is that self-sabotage, right? Like, so for example, answering a client outside of the times that you said that you would, right? You may think it's for them, but it's really for you because you're self-sabotaging. You're telling yourself, if I don't respond, if I'm not this person, they're going to see me differently. They're going to think that I'm not good enough. They're going to be mad at me, right? And it threatens your self-concept. But the self-concept that you're actually working towards is the person that holds their standards and holds their fucking boundaries. That is the kind of person that then you allow yourself to see yourself as a big fucking deal, to see yourself as a person who is worthy of charging the amount that you want to charge. And you see yourself as somebody who can hold more capacity, right? Who can hold more, because what this turns into is you responding because you have this urgent need that you think you should. And then what that turns into is then you being like, but I can't hold 20 clients in this group, because if I did, I'd have to respond to them. I would feel the urgent need to respond to them right away. And because I don't respect myself and I don't respect my own standards and boundaries, I'm going to do it. And I can't do that with 20 people in the group. You see how this turns into how you are handling things inside of your business, the things that are going on. You notice it. You notice it and you clock it, right? And I bet you $1 million that these are habits and things that are happening outside of your business. And that is why I am such a big believer in, like, when you overcome imposter syndrome and unworthiness, like, you unlock thousands of dollars, you unlock being a multiple 6-figure, 7-figure entrepreneur because of who you are being in all aspects of your life. Because when you are being the person that you respect, you allow yourself to have more because you feel worthy of it, right? But the thing is you subconsciously don't really respect yourself when you respond on a Sunday. When you tell yourself, you know what, I'm a good person, so I'm going to respond, right? Or you don't respect yourself when you have told yourself over and over again, I'm not going to eat the cookies at night. And then you creep out there and you eat the cookies, right? And it's not about that being right or wrong. It's about respecting yourself. And it's about seeing yourself as a person that has standards and sticks to them, that keeps promises to herself. You know, when I started doing this and I stopped performing online, there was a very short time where I was like, okay, I need to be this perfect person. I need to say this. I need to act like blah, 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 blah. I didn't make any money from that place, right? But it also felt so inauthentic. And like, I am the girl that is here to tell you that you can get paid for who you fucking are. That is my whole job, is for you to see yourself as like somebody who deserves to be paid for who you are. And I have to be honest, a lot of people come to me because of the work of like, they don't feel good enough. And a lot of the time it's because they're not doing enough and because they are not being the person that they know they can be. So it's not necessarily like you're going to come into my world and I'm going to be like, you're perfect. You're perfect the way you fucking are. You don't need to change a fucking thing. Actually, we're going to work on you. We're going to work on your self-concept. We're going to work on that feeling of being worthy, because you are worthy. You are worthy of everything you want to create. You are worthy of charging what you want to charge. You are qualified. You know what you're fucking doing. And there is a version of you that you're not being yet. And there is a version of you that does the thing, that takes the action, that thinks these thoughts about herself, that is being the version of you that you think you need to be to have the thing that you want. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I do not think that that is a bad thing. If you are not personally developing, if your goal when you hire somebody is not to evolve, like, you are investing in someone for the wrong reasons. Whenever I invest, this could be a whole episode, but the reason why I go to work with somebody is not just because I think that they can help me. Also, I want to become the person that I want to become, and I know that they can help me do it, that they can help me activate that part of me. That is the biggest reason why I hire somebody. It's not because I think I'm perfect, and it's not because I think like I'm gonna go in and she's gonna say, you're amazing the way you are, and I'm gonna go, I am amazing the way I am. Okay, I'm gonna charge $10,000 for 30 days now. You know, it isn't about that. It's about the fact that like there's always things that we can work on and improve to improve ourselves and to be the best version of ourselves. And why wouldn't you want to do that, right? And that leads me back to the whole concept of this episode in terms of like, that version of you really does seek long-term satisfaction and long-term gain over short-term dopamine, over a dopamine hit that is gonna make you feel good in the moment. Because guess what? There are a ton of other ways that you can get dopamine. Tons of other ways. You can go for a walk, you can work out, you can watch a funny show, you can listen to a training or a podcast. You can do a ton of other things that will give you a genuine dopamine hit instead of the self-sabotagey things. Because yes, do I think that when you sit down to work and then you feel the impulse like, oh, you're tired, but I need to listen to myself because, I need a nap. No, this is your subconscious fucking self-sabotaging you. This is your subconscious saying, ooh, we're going to act like we're tired every time we need to get some work done. This was totally me. And there were times that I would give into that. And I would be like, oh, you know what? I am tired. I am going to have a nap. And then I realized like, oh, fuck, this was me self-sabotaging. But we never want to admit that to ourselves. We always want to say, I'm just listening to my body. I'm just listening to my cues, blah, blah, blah. You're never going to fucking go anywhere if that is how you talk to yourself. If you think that everything is just like you listening to your intuition, because there are a lot of things that need to get done for you to run your business successfully and for you to make a fuck ton of money. And if you are constantly just giving in to your need for dopamine, especially because I feel like a lot of us that are listening to this podcast do have ADHD, do have things that get in the way because that's just how we are fucking wired. But again, the label, it does not describe who you can become. It's just how you can learn to understand yourself. And how you learn to understand yourself is realizing, oh fuck, I seek the dopamine out of every situation. I am seeking to be coddled and to be supported and to be comforted than I am to be activated, than I am to move, than I am to take action, right? So as soon as I learned that, I stopped eating all my fucking feelings. As soon as I learned that, I became aware of it. And whenever you become aware of a pattern, it's like it just keeps coming up for you to choose to stop doing it, right? There's a difference between awareness and action. And you can be so aware of your self-sabotaging tendencies and not take any action towards changing them. So now you can develop the awareness and move into the action of changing it, of redirecting the pattern. And that's how you rewire your brain. Because there is so much money, so many clients, so much abundance on the other side of you seeking the long-term gain and the long-term satisfaction than just getting a quick fucking dopamine hit. These are the things that we do inside of the From Imposter to Empowered program. These are the conversations that we're having. I am dropping weekly, daily, sometimes riffs inside of this offer. So you can feel activated, so you can feel inspired, so you can feel excited. We talk about the mindset, the subconscious mind work. We talk about emotional mastery. So really mastering the emotional roller coaster that you seem to find yourself on. I help you regulate your nervous system with amazing tools that will help you shift back into who you're supposed to be. And we do the content and the sales strategy that will help you get paid for who you fucking are and sign high ticket clients because you're worthy of it, because you are here for a reason and because you have a purpose on this earth. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to work at it. And I am so excited to support you inside of the From Imposter to Empowered program. You can join for 2 weeks and get a 2-week taster. You can come to a hot seat coaching call and get coached. And then if you choose to continue, you can use that $397 credit towards your first payment. It's like foolproof. And I already know that you're going to jump in. You're going to see what you're working with in terms of the calls and the curriculum and everything. And you're going to go, I need to be in this fucking container. And I can't wait to coach you. All right. So go to the link in my show notes. And if you have questions or if you're looking for more personalization, I have one-to-one coaching options. So head to Instagram at YourCoachJo and let's have a conversation. Love you guys. Hey babe, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Screenshot it and put it on your stories and tag me at your coach Jill. And if you really love me, you'll rate and review the podcast. And if you screenshot it before you submit the review and send it to me, I will send you a free gift on me. If you want to take this work deeper, come and work with me in the From Imposter to Empowered program or the Real Deal Mastermind. And finally, if you want just a snippet of my work to feel what it's like to be in my world, then you need to buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and you can get that on Amazon. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.